Hello and welcome to the Ice Guy. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, April the 8th. Ian Cameron and Alex B. Smith with you on a Betcast Tuesday because it is another Patreon-exclusive live Betcast coming your way tonight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you join us. It is a very intriguing night of NHL action. Several games with either positioning implications, getting into the playoff implications, and, of course, the Detroit-Montreal head-to-head clash stands out in that regard. But plenty of games with meaning tonight. Ottawa-Columbus is another. Certainly Toronto-Florida as far as Atlantic Division ramifications. So it is a great card, exciting, intriguing games, meaningful games, and hopefully a lot of great betting opportunities. And look, if you've missed out on these last couple betcasts, the live bets have been going pretty well. The last two, we've cashed some good ones, and we hope to do so again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. So again, we have a betcast tonight and Thursday night this week. April the 10th, both of them Patreon exclusive. So make sure you get on board before the Betcast tonight. $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys. And again, it's a great night to get on board because it's a really good night of hockey as we close in, of course, on the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are just less than 2 weeks away. So make sure you're with us on the Betcast by becoming a Patreon member. $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys. Before we get into the recap of yesterday and, of course, Tuesday's card, I have to bring up the sad news in the hockey world yesterday, the passing of Greg Millen, longtime NHL goalie, 14 seasons in the NHL, kind of that proverbial traveling suitcase of a career he kind of had. Stops with Chicago, St. Louis, Hartford, among other places as a goaltender. 14 seasons in the league as a NHL goalie, a guy that actually almost gave up on his a dream to make the NHL when he was convinced, give it another shot. And the next thing you know, 14 years in the NHL. And then probably became even more known, especially in Canada, for his work on television. A broadcaster on Hockey Night in Canada and with Rogers Sportsnet for over 30 years. I think it was the early 90s, when he started on Hockey Night in Canada. And he would do national games with, Bob Cole and Chris Cuthbert. And so many different play-by-play. Don Whitman, when he was around way back in the 90s. He's been on the television set on a lot of Canadian hockey fans' homes on national games for all of this time. He did regional games for the Ottawa Senators in the 90s. He did a stint with Joe Bowen when Joe Bowen was doing television at the time for the Leafs. And Joe Bowen did television for up until the last, I would say, 10 years. And then he went radio only with Jim Ralph. But there was a time Joe Bowen did all the midweek non-Hockey Night in Canada Leaf games on television. Joe Bowen, the great Joe Bowen, of course. He's an incredible play-by-play guy. And Greg Millen worked with him for a period of time. And then, of course, most recently with the Calgary Flames, which is where he's been the last few years calling games. He worked with Rick Ball for several years before Rick left for Chicago. And, of course, just this year with John Abbott. And like I said, a terrific broadcasting career, always filled with energy, passion for the game. Go look at the clip that I posted on Twitter X with, I think, his most memorable moment as an analyst with Patrick Waugh, hot dogging it, as he called it, and dropped the puck, and it went in the net in a Detroit-Colorado playoff series. Remember those old Avs-Red Wings wars of the late 90s and early 2000s? Greg was working with Cuthbert on that series, and it was one of his memorable calls. The way he reacted to Dion Phaneuf wiping himself out, I posted that. That was hilarious, too. Just a natural, just laughing his ass off type of reaction. But Greg Millen, great spirit, great analyst, always full of energy. And obviously 14 years as an NHL goalie, and just unfortunately late 60s. That's too young, unfortunately, to have to say goodbye to you. So rest in peace, Greg Millen, and condolences to his family and the Calgary Flames. You talk about, and Sportsnet specifically, talk about the right move last night, deciding let's give the Flames on air and production people the night off. From the San Jose game last night. This is just because I'm sure the news came down like late afternoon, early evening, and I'm sure it's just too quick of a turnaround to expect everybody to be ready to put a broadcast together. They're mourning the loss of their dear colleague and friend in Greg Millen. So it was the right call there, and a nice tribute was done by Sportsnet right off the top when that Calgary-San Jose game started last night before they passed it off to the Sharks broadcast. But rest in peace, Greg Millen, Alex.
Yeah, it's like I said, shocking and sudden loss, and if you scroll through Twitter and social media, you see all the outpouring from people, like colleagues and fans, especially in Canada. Like I said, I didn't get to watch him obviously play. He was a little bit before my time, but it's funny. I collected cards growing up, and that Greg Millen Blackhawks card with him, he's got the old cage and he's got his old dirty pants. Yep. One of the cards that I ever had. And I remember I was seeing that picture and a lot of those pictures last night. It brought back some memories of seeing that and kind of, like I said, seeing him on TV over the years, as we're growing up, becoming hockey fans at that time. So there's many generations, like I said, so those way back who got to see him play, but there's far more who got to see him and know him as a broadcaster and a commentator. And like I said, just a sudden loss. And, you've heard nothing but good words, kind words about him over the last 24 hours. So it's, a loss. My condolences to his family and his friends and all the colleagues that he's had over the years and the teammates he's had over the years. Do you think about that when you have these athletes? We had another tragedy actually happened today, too, in baseball with Octavio Dotel.
I heard that. My gosh. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. When you think about guys who've played with, in Millen's case, 6 teams, Dotel's case, 14 teams. They had so many teammates, so many people in the clubhouses and locker rooms that they've got to know. That's a lot of people's lives that they got to touch just, in person by being part of these franchises. But then even further when you talk about fan bases and so forth. So, there's a lot of people feeling it today. So my thoughts are with all on the loss of Greg Millen.
I didn't know this until Ron McLean wrote an article or wrote a nice little, I guess, tribute to Greg Millen for Sportsnet on their website this morning that Bob Cole requested on his very final call, his final game in the booth before he retired. He requested Greg Millen be his partner. That was, wow. I guess it's because he was one of the longer tenured people on Hockey Night in Canada at the time. Bob had worked with him before. So that's an honor for sure to be bestowed upon you when Bob Cole says, get me Greg Millen for my final broadcast, and which was, I think, in Montreal for that specific game years ago. But like I said, great career, and Greg Millen will certainly be missed. Not easy to transition from these kind of things, but we will do our best. As far as last night goes, it was a short card. I think the main things we'll talk about is the St. Louis win streak ends at 12. Valiant effort, but credit to the Winnipeg Jets. Put the clamps down, hung on at the end, and they get a 3-1 win against St. Louis. So a big win for the Jets because they're trying to fend off Dallas for first in the Central. And for St. Louis, they're still in great shape. They're probably going to be wild card 1. Although actually they could slip down still to wild card 2, but I don't know if I trust Minnesota to overtake them. But they're still comfortably going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. What can you say about the New York Rangers? They're a train wreck. They're a disaster. There's a reason I said I want no part of them in that game. Unfortunately, I wasn't aggressive enough taking Tampa in that game. And that's the only regret I have, that I wasn't more aggressive taking Tampa Bay. But I did have the first period over and a smaller full game over, just very small in that game. So we cashed both of those. It was just a 3-0 onslaught in the first period. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Once Tampa got up, you figured it was over. And it's all over now for the New York Rangers. It's done. They're done. So playoffs not happening. Season over. Peter Laviolette already signing his resignation letter with that bizarre cryptic comment in the post game saying, I didn't say anything to them after the game. I don't go into the dressing room. Really? Never? You never go into the dressing room right after a game ends. Yeah, that's just him doing his get me out of here, that Happy Gilmore scene. That's him doing that cry to get me out of here like John Tortorella did when he said what he said after that Toronto loss. That was Laviolette doing that last night. Like, get me out of here. I don't want, even if you fire me, I don't want to be back. That's what it kind of, I'll be happy not to be back. But yeah, I mean, it's just a dismal game and a dismal season for the New York Rangers there. What else did we see last night? How about Seattle? My goodness, 2-1 against LA last night. We were worried about that a little bit, that LA with the Edmonton game, and Vegas won against Vancouver, and it really hurt their chances maybe to catch the Golden Knights. And now it's pretty much done as far as their chances to catch the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is going to probably be the Pacific Division champions now, especially after that loss. But I think when you look at this situation right now here for the LA Kings, you wonder if they're going to start to go into preservation mode here down the stretch, where it's just keep everybody healthy, and let's get into the playoffs, because it kind of looked like that at times last night in that game against Seattle. Anaheim Edmonton was a pretty good game betting wise for me, with the Anaheim split money line and team total in that game. Team total cashing, of course, is the best bet in that game for me. Pretty straightforward handicap. Edmonton, not a team I'm looking to bet on. A first-time goalie in Olivier Rodrigue. He didn't play that bad, but obviously Lukas Dostal played excellent. Still had a lot of shots, Edmonton, but did not make enough offensively out of those opportunities, and Anaheim gets a 3-2 win there against Edmonton in that game. Yes, Adam Henrique scoring again against his old team. One of the highlights for the Edmonton Oilers. It's like clockwork. You bet him when he plays Anaheim or New Jersey to score a goal. It's just amazing how he keeps finding a way to get it done. And then the Calgary Flames did not make it easy on us, and unfortunately we lost the first period puck line, but we made up for it, taking Calgary live going into the third period at a nice plus price, and they come back to beat San Jose 3-2 in that game. It was an absolute must, and I know it couldn't have been an easy day, because I'm sure a lot of the players and were close to Greg Millen. The guy was a broadcaster of the team on television for the last 2-3 years, so I'm sure the news of his passing was not easy to digest or shake off prior to the game. But they looked like a team that was playing in a fog in the first two periods, Calgary. But boy, second intermission, something was said, and they came out in the third like they meant business. They knew we got to get 2 points here for us to have any hope. The goal for Calgary is, yes, it's going to be tough to pass Minnesota for the wild card. Very, very difficult. But at the same point in time, it's a situation where you've got to get to Friday with your home game against Minnesota still meaning something. And the way to make that happen is you had to beat San Jose last night, which they did, and you got to beat Anaheim tomorrow night. And if you can do those two things, regardless of what Minnesota does between now and Friday, it's at least going to make that Friday game meaningful to the Calgary Flames. And that's the primary goal. Never mind the end goal of making the playoffs and passing Minnesota. Get to Friday so that the game means a damn. That's what Calgary's trying to do. And to do that, They got to win last night, which they did, and they're going to have to win tomorrow night as well when they take on Anaheim. Alex, your thoughts on Monday's card?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously that was the biggest game as far as all of the ramifications around the Calgary getting that win. And like I said, it's one of those things where, wow, obviously you don't know about the passing of Miller until like hours before the game and so forth, and it's kind of a spot where we might have handicapped that game a little bit differently, having that kind of knowledge that he said there was no energy at all in that team in the first period. We would have been off of most of those first period looks, but he said there was a good game for your live betting. I was able to grab next goal prop with Calgary, where they were coming back in that contest, and for them to get the 2 wins, like I said, now they said make it a point. And they have the layout in front of them. You got another game against San Jose. You got a game against the Anaheim team, although they've been a bit feisty at times. But you have winnable games in front of you before having to take on, like I said, Friday night against Minnesota. That's your playoff game. That's playoffs right now, number one. You can make that game meaningful. That's you getting to the playoffs, and then you go from there. That's pretty much how they have to start looking at it. Every game for them is just a huge step up toward getting to that goal. So, like I said, we talked about that all the time. There's teams who are playing playoff hockey right now. Calgary Flames are certainly in that boat. Like I said, the Rangers game, the Lightning, I'm really mad I didn't make that first period over. I should have gone heavier on that, honestly, because that game just looked lost off rip. Good win for Tampa, and like I said, the Rangers are just done. Like I said, Laviolette with that quote basically saying, hey, I don't know what all this we talk is. I'm getting the hell out of Dodge as soon as the calendar turns April 18th, more than likely. And then they could just
if they don't fire him, he might resign, quite honestly.
Yes, I'm saying. I easily see him stepping down. Yeah, it's either they fire him or he leaves. But either way, the Rangers are more than likely going to be in that bunch of teams that will be looking for a new coach next year. So those are the two kind of pinpoints from yesterday for me.
And the Rangers assured the hockey world that the only reason to tune into Flyers versus Rangers tomorrow night on TNT is to listen to the great sounds of Sam Rosen and John
Right.
Davidson together one last
Yeah.
time, which I am looking forward to, actually.
Yeah,
It's a
that'll be
miracle
fun.
I'm excited about Flyers Rangers right now with where those two teams are at, but it's because we get to see Sam and JD, the great duo, one more time together on TNT tomorrow night. That will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. All right. We give you all we have to give every day on this show. There's no denying that whatsoever. But I have just got one of those days, unfortunately, where it is a tight as a duck's ass schedule for me. We've got shows to do. I've got things I got to pick up. I have an appointment that couldn't be moved from later this afternoon, and all that to get done before the betcast. So this is going to be fucking rapid fire roll through the card here on this Tuesday.
Let's
So let's
go.
bring it on, and we'll begin with Carolina Buffalo. No clip clap gibberish analysis from me today. We're just getting right to the picks. Carolina Buffalo, Carolina minus 250 road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. So again, there's a lot of things that I'm either going to wait until the betcast, not bet pregame, and not. There's things that I'm thinking of betting but haven't yet, so it's going to be all over the map. There's not going to be a whole lot that I'm saying, yeah, I've definitely locked that in as of right now. But I could only look Buffalo here. Carolina's in one of those holding patterns right now where they can't move up, they can't move down. They're not particularly playing great. I mean, when you lose to Boston, on the weekend, that's not exactly what you want to see. How can you fade Buffalo right now? I mean, they're playing with great energy, great passion. Right now, they've found ways to beat good teams at home. They keep doing it. Tampa, Edmonton, Vegas, Ottawa, go on down. All those teams are going to make the playoffs, and they've beaten them all. Why can't they beat Carolina right now, who doesn't give two shits, with Kochetkov in net, who can't stop anything? Right? I shouldn't say can't stop anything, but he hasn't been very good lately. So this is some kind of Buffalo team total over, money line split, and maybe an over by Fecta here in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Carolina, Buffalo.
This is a game where we're getting some really good value on that Buffalo team total over because of the inflated price. Minus 112 for an over 2.5 at FanDuel is definitely worth the price. I don't know if I trust Buffalo enough to win outright. Like I said, we have the betcast for this night, so I don't have to jump in and grab plus 200. If you do like Buffalo, by all means, run and grab plus 200. That's a good price. But like I said, this is a Sabres team. Yes, they've been hot right now, but we know Carolina. Carolina, it's how they feel. If they feel, like they have a burr in their saddle and want to play this game, play like it means something, they could easily destroy Buffalo 4-1. So this is one where I'm just going to stick with the team total and Sabres and then look for everything else.
No doubt. No doubt. We might be getting back to this game later for best bet because that team total is what I really like. I like the money line sprinkle too, but the team total is even better. And Jonathan's pointing out exactly what I saw handicapping this game. Kochetkov's a 3+ minimum guy right now, as in 3+ goals allowed, pretty much in every recent start. So the fact it's Buffalo only team total over 2.5 is worth a look. Again, Carolina get to the playoffs. That's where they're at right now. I'm not seeing intensity. I'm not seeing urgency at all. New Jersey can't catch them from behind. Washington, they're obviously not catching the Capitals. They're certainly in a holding pattern right now. And like I said, Kochetkov, and we hate ripping the guy. We love this guy. We think he's got potential. He's not in a good way right now. He's not playing his best hockey. So yeah, Buffalo and the team total, I think, is the absolute best way to play it. All right, next up, we've got Toronto and Florida. Florida minus 165 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Now, tinfoil hat with Paul Bissonnette on Sunday with TNT saying they're tanking in order to get to, they're tanking in order to get to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. Well, Paul Maurice has put a little bit of a extinguisher on that because he announced earlier today Barkov is back for this game. Reinhart is back for this game. And what's troubling you, Gus? What's troubling Gus? Gus Forsling is back tonight as well for the Florida Panthers. So 3 reinforcements, 3 of their best players on the team, quite honestly. One of their best defensemen, and Reinhart and Barkov, 2 of their best forwards. Bennett is the one guy not back. Paul Maurice saying Sam Bennett will be shut down for the rest of the regular season. So he will be back but he will be ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs, according to Paul Maurice. So one of these situations here where Florida does have, they're not resting everybody tonight. So is that a sign that they're going to play with purpose tonight? Especially back home and, put a little bit of an end to this tanking rhetoric that's going on around the league right now. It's still Toronto or nothing for me. I'm not laying minus 165 here with the Florida Panthers in this spot. This is kind of like a Carolina part 2 where for Florida, actually, I shouldn't totally say that because they can still catch Tampa for the home ice in the first round and second in the Atlantic. They're only still, they're now, I think, 4 points behind the Tampa Bay Lightning after Tampa's win last night. So, time's running out. But again, they have not shown any sign, any indication that they give two shits about where they finish. I don't think they're really that concerned about, if we have to start as third in the Atlantic or if we actually fall down to first in the wild card and Ottawa passes us too. I don't think they give a damn. I'll be just blunt. I don't think they give a damn right now, Florida. So I'm looking at this as at this price, I could only take Toronto. I haven't decided if I'm going to, but that's the only thing I can look to. And look, I actually think this could be an under game. It's going to be the two former battery mates going head-to-head once again, Stolars and Bobrovsky. And if you remember from the matchup in Toronto last week, it was 3-2 Leafs. It was I beg your pardon. Joseph Woll's getting this start here tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me correct that. I thought for sure Stolars would get another shot at his old team, but no, Woll tonight, which means it'll be Stolar. I know why he's doing that, Berube, because Tampa's the team closer to Toronto right now to catching them for first in the division. So save Stolars for the Tampa game tomorrow night is what Craig Berube's thinking is. Alex, what do you think here? Leafs, Panthers.
The goal's pretty clear for Toronto. If they want to win the Atlantic Division, it's right here for them in the next 48 hours. Beat Florida, beat Tampa Bay. So that's really the setup. So I'm taking.
You can lock it up.
Toronto.
They're division champs if they go 2-0 the next two nights.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm taking Toronto plus 145 small. Everything else I'll look for in game. Draw price. I mean, I would lean it to it. I would actually like to draw a little bit more tomorrow night than tonight, to be honest. And especially when you look at the prices right at 300 plus 300 plus 310, I could see where tomorrow's game might be a little bit closer. But I'm gonna take a shot with Leafs as a dog here, and then look to add anything on the backcast.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. I'll dabble on Toronto pregame, can add to it if the price gets a little bit better. I do think Florida could get the lead early. I think there's going to be some kind of we've been lifeless at times the last few games. The Ottawa game, the Detroit game. At some point, we got to put a little more gusto into our performance, even if we're trying to keep everyone healthy and pace ourselves. And it doesn't matter to us where we finish, all that stuff. You still don't want to lose right on out going into the playoffs. So maybe they start fast Florida and we can get a better price during the betcast with Toronto. So that's why I'm only going to take them just for a small bet pregame here in this one. All right, Detroit and Montreal. It doesn't get much better than this, quite honestly. You're talking about a game to make the playoffs. Montreal can almost put Detroit out for good, and Detroit can put themselves right back in it. If they somehow get the win here tonight. We've got Red Wings and Habs. It's essentially a Stanley Cup playoff game on April 8th. We've got Montreal minus 135 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. You look at the Red Wings for a team that, Florida just basically said before that game, we're going to sit everybody here, Detroit. We don't want this game. Here you go. Take it. And yet Detroit had a hard time taking it. I don't think they played that well against the Panthers on Sunday. Florida actually outplayed them for a good stretch of that game. They needed Cam Talbot bailout special, for a couple of big-time saves down the stretch, or else they could have, at least Florida could have tied the game, and it would have went to overtime. But they did hang on. They got the win. It was ugly. I don't think they played that well against a depleted Florida Panthers team, but they did get the win, which was very important, 2-1, to set up this matchup with Montreal, where, look, 6 points back, yes, but 3 games in hand, including this critical head-to-head matchup. Now, what have we talked about in the past, Alex and I, on this show with Detroit and Montreal? We have talked about how these two teams have played a lot of tight games, and we like the draw in a lot of these games. I'm not so sure tonight's the night to take the draw, though, because what good is it for Detroit to win in overtime or a shootout? They are almost at the point with games remaining dwindling that they got to try to get this in regulation, and there's a little bit of onus to get this in regulation time against the Montreal Canadiens here tonight. So in normal circumstances, I'd like the draw. That being said, maybe I should still take the draw because these two teams were in kind of these, well, for Detroit, obviously, it was win or get in. For Montreal, they were just playing spoiler last year. That was the difference in the scenarios because these two teams played each other last year in the final days of the regular season, back-to-back nights to end the regular season, April 15, April 16. One game was in Detroit, one game was in Montreal. Well, they both went past regulation, and they both would have cashed the draw. So I'm probably still going to end up taking the draw small. I don't think it does Detroit much good to win this game in overtime or a shootout, but I'm still going to take a shot with the draw just because of the history. And like I said, they did play 2 games right down the stretch in April last year. And both of those games ended up going past regulation. So we'll take the draw here. And I like over by Fecta here. 1.5, 5.5. I'm not going to argue with series history here. You look at the recent head-to-head games, 6-6-7, 9-9-9. As far as goals scored in the last 6 head-to-head meetings with the Red Wings and the Habs. For some reason, there's goals when these teams collide, and I think we've got a chance to see that once again. So over by Fecta for me pregame and a little bit on the draw. Sidewise, I don't want anything here right now. I'm not fading Montreal, even though Detroit needs the points. I mean, Montreal's just been that good, but this is like all hands on deck, all-out desperation for Detroit that, again, and I've said this a lot on the recent shows, Alex, I don't like laying a price with a favorite against a very desperate, very motivated underdog, and we should have that in theory tonight with Detroit. Alex, what do you think here, Red Wings, Habs?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun game. And like you said, there's no reason for Detroit to look to try and grab just the 1 point, play it safe. They got to go balls to the wall and get 2 points, get a regulation win here. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not touching the side here either, but I love the over by Fecta. Heavier on the first period over. Of course, that Montreal trend, 11-2 in the last 13. But I'm also going to add on something. He says this is kind of like an elimination style playoff game. It's something we love to do in the playoffs. Going third period over. Third period over 2 goals, minus 115 at BetMGM. I can see this one getting out of hand, and with the 1.5, you're laying at 170, 180 pregame. So I'm gonna take a shot and lay the $15 with over 2 goals in the third period pregame. But of course, that means we'll be looking to add on with some over action during the betcast as well. Should we find plus prices?
Yeah, that's good. I definitely think that's. I like that. I like that third period over. Really, it makes sense logically. I think we could see, maybe a little bit of an eruption later in the game.
If you got 3-2 Habs, even 4-2 Habs late, Wings are going to be pulling their goal for sure a little bit earlier than just the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. As far as props, I'll just throw one out. As far as goal, assist, points, take your pick. These are the guys you want because they're playing great. Suzuki, Hudson from Montreal, 100%. Raymond, Kane, and DeBrincat. Been waiting for these guys to step their asses up in these big moments for Detroit, and they're starting to do that. Kane, DeBrincat. DeBrincat could have had 2 goals the other night if he didn't hit the post on the empty net, but they played well the other night, and they need those guys. They need Raymond, they need Kane, they need DeBrincat. And they're all playing up pretty solid. Larkin's not bad either. Bailey mentioning Larkin, of course. Larkin's the captain. He shows up usually in the biggest games. So those would be props I'd be interested in, or prop players, I should say, that I'd be interested in here. All right, Boston, New Jersey. I'm going to be, by the way, it's Talbot and Montembeault. That is your confirmed goaltending matchup. Not really a surprise. Talbot's played well the last week. Let's give him his due. He stepped things up. Can he keep doing it, though? That's the question. Boston and New Jersey, because he was spectacular down the stretch against Florida. You watch some of those saves, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Just spectacular. Oh, yeah. But again, it comes and goes with that guy. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Comes and goes with him. You just hope it's the good side of Cam Talbot tonight. Boston, New Jersey. You've got New Jersey minus 250 home favorites, 5.5 the total. I mean, this game, what do you do? I mean, obviously, New Jersey's one of these teams I don't want to lay a price with. Boston actually beat Carolina. Got off to a great start against Buffalo until all of a sudden the roof caved in on them. And Buffalo just lit them up after a good start to that game for the Boston Bruins. New Jersey's one of these teams where they've won 3 in a row. They do look like, even though from a standings perspective right now, you look at where they're at, 89 points. They're not catching Carolina. There's almost no chance they actually, you know what? Montreal at 85. So maybe they could. Well, we'll see. But I think when you look at this situation here for New Jersey, there's not a ton of urgency, but they are playing well. and I don't trust Boston enough. So, and total, I could see this being I'll be honest, I could see this being a bit of a snooze fest, quite honestly. Under could be the look here. I mean, I know Boston, the last couple games have gone over the total with Carolina and Buffalo. But I just don't know if this is going to be a game where either team's really bringing a whole lot to the table. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins, Devils.
Yeah, this is a game that's just kind of a wash, and I probably won't be betting anything on it until the betcast. With the Devils, they can't move up at all because keep in mind it's Montreal and Ottawa down in the wild card. Those are Atlantic Division teams.
That's right.
New Jersey's closest fourth team is the Rangers. So they're set. They're good. They don't have to worry about.
They're good. They're third in the Metro. Case closed. Yeah,
they're third in the Metro. Exactly. So this game could just be maybe they roll the puck out. There's a bunch of goals. It depends on how motivated Boston is. So this is what I want to wait and see before jumping in on it.
Yeah, New Jersey. First of all, Markstrom's playing a lot better. Like he's really playing well again for New Jersey. He's turned it around.
Very important.
No doubt. Yeah. And they kind of been trending under lately, especially on home ice. They played a lot of unders at home lately, New Jersey. So, yeah, I would lean in that direction with the under, but that's not a game I'm betting pregame. Not a chance. Maybe we get involved in something during the betcast, but even then we'll see. All right, Ottawa, Columbus. We've got Ottawa minus 115 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. I grabbed a piece of Ottawa pregame. I mean, I know Columbus at home now. Not on the road where they've been better, but they were also smoked by Colorado, one of their recent road games, back-to-back. Merzlikins in net has been struggling badly, so I'm okay with taking Ottawa here, minus 115. Can add to it if they fall behind. That's my approach. Small pregame on Ottawa, can add to it if they fall behind, because we know the Blue Jackets, first period at home, sometimes they've played well, but do I trust them for 60 minutes right now? No. The answer is no. And I think they've just hit a physical and mental and emotional wall. Just bam, right into the wall. They know it's done. And I think Ottawa is just putting their foot to the pedal to the metal right now and clinch this playoff spot, is what Ottawa is looking to do here. So, like I said, small bet on Ottawa pregame. Now, I like this over here because I like the flip-flop angle. We talk about this. Same two teams playing each other back-to-back games. The first game stayed under. I usually like the second game to be over. And again, it's Columbus at home. Their games go over. They've been an over machine at Nationwide all season long. So this is another over by Fecta. I'll actually like the full game over more than the first period over here in this game, since that full game is at 6 as opposed to the 6.5. Alex, what do you think here? Sens, Jackets.
Yeah, this is definitely a game where we're looking for goals, but I think I can wait for that over by the end game. The one thing I would look to maybe bet pregame would be Ottawa team total. I'm looking at over 3 minus 125. I don't mind that. You can get plus 130 with the over 3.5. Now I would maybe lay a 120, 125 with that 3 flat on the team total. Like I said, Columbus just seems to be out of gas, and I really don't trust in them. If should this game just go back and forth, maybe like I said, Ottawa's they're not firmly solidified in their spot. Like they still need to clinch everything, but it's not like they're going to really be moved around and tussled much. So if this is a game where maybe Columbus does come out with some fight early, and does Ottawa really want to press back? I like over the goals over live, but I'm going to just play that team total over 3 rather than laying the 115 or 120 with money. Just play a little safer.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mention it, I might split it up pregame too with the team total, because we know we don't trust Merzlikins at this point here with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So yeah, that's definitely a good approach there as far as that's concerned. Just maybe the split instead. Big news for Montreal, by the way. Demidov, Ivan Demidov is. If you haven't been paying attention to his performance with SKA over in the KHL. He's been just ripping it up. He's been unbelievable over there, and he's just been destroying he's just been destroying that league. He's been tremendous. He became the top scorer there this season, 22 goals, 32 assists, 54 points in 71 games. Set a league record, best rookie of the week 7 times over there. Now, again, he's got to do it at the NHL level, but the skill is undeniable. And there's a chance he could be a big-time player at the NHL level. Well, there's been a dispute about whether they would let him go to Montreal, whether he wouldn't be allowed to get out of Russia. But apparently they are working toward, SKA and the Habs have agreed, they're going to let him go to Montreal. The Abs are working feverishly as we speak on an entry-level contract to get Ivan Demidov under contract. And there's a chance he could be in the lineup down the stretch for this team. So big time news, because the people are just raving about what he's done over there. Now, again, this is the NHL now. It's the best of the best. Are you going to be able to do? But if you watch any of the highlights, Alex, the kid's skill is off the chart. And
Yep.
certainly for a team that's already got such great young talent, when you look at Slavkovsky and Caulfield and Lane Hudson, and you go on down the list, to add Ivan Demidov down the stretch, boy, oh boy. And no wonder Habs fans are just jumping up and down, because they've been waiting for this pretty much for months now, when they've seen how good this kid's been playing over there in Russia.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, of course, now, how long does it take to get all the visa issues and the logistics sorted out is the question. But yeah, once he gets here to North America and gets to the Habs, that's certainly going to add an already, more invigorating boost. Like you said, it's been a great young core this season.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, so the highlights are great. Again, he's got to show at the NHL level he can provide that same kind of punch. But again, there's no doubt how talented he's been and what a great season he's had over there. All right, Pittsburgh and Chicago. We've got the Penguins minus 130. Sorry, that's Sunday's game. Sorry, that's Sunday's, because it's the same two teams. They're in Pittsburgh now. We've got Pittsburgh minus 210. Home favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. Yeah, that was the Sunday line that you initially saw at the game in Chicago. It's Pittsburgh minus 210, 6.5 the total in this game. So again, kind of like Ottawa Columbus, I'm dabbling on the over by Fecta, but I don't love this one. I can always bet it live too during the betcast if things are slow at the beginning. It is the same two goalies for what it's worth. We've got Jari and Spencer Knight is starting again here tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks. So we'll see how that one plays out. But obviously, look, I was on the over by Fecta in Chicago. It stayed under in that game, although the second period, actually not even the second period, overcashed after the scoreless first. There was only the one goal in the second period. Nedeljkovic, my bad. Nedeljkovic was the starter Sunday in Chicago. So it's Jari this time in this game with Chicago. Yeah, I'm going to just because it's just that angle that I mentioned with Ottawa Columbus. Same two teams that play each other back-to-back games. If the first game goes under, the second goes over more often than not, and vice versa. If the first game goes over, the second stays under. So that's my thinking here. Maybe a little bit more offense here in this game than we saw the first meeting in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, too, when it comes to Pittsburgh games on home ice, you throw out the Ottawa game, but other than that, we've seen 7-3, 6-4, 6-3. Seen a lot of high-scoring games. Still two teams not making the playoffs here. So I'm going to dabble in the over by Fecta pregame. We can always add in-game. Sidewise, look, Chicago or pass. I am kind of leery because they won the game in Chicago. Pittsburgh back home has been winning lately. Maybe returns the favor, but not at minus 210. Not a chance. Alex, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Penguins.
Yeah, I grabbed plus 185 this morning when I saw Spencer Knight was in the starters net at practice today. For the Hawks, like I said, they were controlling the pace of play for most of the game at home against the Pens on Sunday. Like I said, this is a Penguin team. I think now they're not going to quit. They're always going to give the effort every night they're on. Like I said, Crosby and Malkin and those guys aren't going to let this team just completely quit. But I just don't think they have enough gas left. So I will be looking for over by factors in game. I'm not going to even lay, especially not with 6.5. I'll try and look for a 6 at a plus price in game, but definitely want to try and grab plus money with that over 1.5. But I did grab the Hawks money line here, and then we'll add some stuff in game.
There you go. All right, New York Islanders, Nashville Predators. We've got the Islanders minus 120 road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I could only take the Islanders. I've not said that very often, but do I want to lay a price with the Islanders on the road? I know I don't want Nashville, but I want the Islanders that badly. With the betcast, the answer is no. Could always say, because Nashville did score early on. Now, it was Dobish, and we talked about his issue giving up the early goals. But Nashville did score the first goal of that game, and maybe this is a chance for them to get the first goal again here tonight. But at this price, with a motivated Islanders team that's trying to hang on to whatever slim playoff chances they still have, it's Islanders or pass for me. Maybe I'll just dabble ever so slightly pregame, but my thought process is if Nashville gets up in the game early, then we can get a better price on the Islanders. And kind of like with Calgary last night, you can get the plus money when they're trailing on the team that needs the game like blood, rather than betting a ton of money on them pregame. That would be the better way to go. Alex, Islanders draw, of course. We've talked about the Nashville team. Nashville, though, could lose in regulation, too. They're not scoring. It's not like the Islanders right now are going to need to put up a shit ton of goals to win this hockey game. This is a stone ice cold Nashville offense. Exactly one goal in 4 of their last 5 games. Now, I know they're getting Marchessault back. Yeah, it should help, but will it? I mean, it's not like he's had a great season. So maybe you do a Nashville team total under here. Maybe you do that. We talked about that. I'm glad I bet that with San Jose last night. San Jose team total under. You got to expand your horizons a little bit at this time of year. Think outside the box. Get a little more creative at this, end of the season. And to me, I think if you're going to make a bet here, under 2.5 at plus money on that Nashville team total is not the worst way to go at all, with just their ice cold, right now as far as production offensively. Alex, what do you think here? Islanders, Predators.
Yeah, I'd maybe sprinkle a little bit on the draw plus 330, but then, like I said, it wouldn't shock me one bit if Isles can just name their score here in the spot because of how inept Nashville's offense has been. Then we've also seen Islanders kind of cool off at times. They shouldn't be. Should be a game where they carry over that momentum from Sunday with that win against Washington. But yeah, this is one I can wait for in the betcast. Plus 330, plus 340. Shop around for that draw price. This wouldn't shock me one bit, especially if we do end up seeing goals galore. That's more likely where we see the draw, right? I wouldn't be shocked to see a 4-4 draw here as opposed to a 1-1-2-2 because the Islanders need this game to still try to give some sense of a fight that they can try and get a playoff spot. It's pretty much all but over, but in their minds, they're still fighting for it. So that's what we'll do. We'll sprinkle in the draw and wait for everything else in the game.
All right, there we go. Not a bad approach at all. All right, Vancouver and Dallas. But do we have goalies confirmed for that? No, we got Sorokin, and actually Useless is projected, although we don't know if he's going to be in there yet for Nashville.
Yeah, he is. Onanen is confirmed. I'm seeing that on goalie post.
Yeah. To be honest with you, there's very little difference between them right now because I'll tell you what, Saros has had some rough times here of late as well. So I don't think it matters at this point when you can't score.
That worries me more about the draw now. I would be a little bit comfortable more with Saros, but now we're talking about Onanen. I don't know. Yeah, wait, that's a game you can wait and see for.
Yeah, no doubt. So there we go. Yeah, Predators team total under. I think I might dabble in that. All right, Vancouver, Dallas. Dallas minus 200 home favorites. 5.5 the total in this game. Vancouver loses to Vegas 3-2. I mean, they beat the hell out of Anaheim. That doesn't say much. They played a good team, and they lost 3-2 at home to Vegas on Sunday night. And not only another loss, and they're already out of it, but just cements it even more. They're not getting an ounce of help. Minnesota wins Sunday. Calgary wins last night. It's all over but the crying in Van City and for our poor guy, Rich H. And I don't hate to throw him into this, but it's just disappointing for him, for all the Canucks fans right now. But I will say this. It just feels like Vancouver is at the end of the road here, mentally, emotionally, physically. They know they've given it their all, and they're not making the playoffs now. And Dallas is they're a tough team to trust, believe it or not, at the moment. I mean, that was not a good weekend for them. You blow leads to Pittsburgh on your home ice. That's not a good look. Minnesota. Now, what? It was a back-to-back for Dallas playing Minnesota. But again, you had a 1-0 lead. Minnesota just dominates the third period over Dallas pretty much and turns that into and now Dallas did tie it and get it to overtime for the draw, thankfully. But then the bad penalty by Jason Robertson, and they end up, of course, scoring in overtime, and it ends up being a 3-2 win for Minnesota in overtime. So there ends up being 2 losses for the Dallas Stars over the weekend. Feels like Dallas should bring it here, especially because of the fact that technically they're still battling with Winnipeg, although it's looking unlikely that they're going to catch Winnipeg. They do still play Winnipeg head-to-head, which they're going to have to win, but it's looking dicey now with the Winnipeg Jets to catch them at the moment for Dallas. I think they're probably going to finish second, but they still have a chance, but they got to win this game. And I think after 2 lackluster efforts against Pittsburgh and Minnesota, you should get focus. You should get a good effort, but you don't always see that from Dallas right now. So I'm debating what to do. I know I don't want Vancouver. It's do I get involved with Dallas here? That's the only question I have here. If I do, I will be taking the team total over 1 with our friends at BetMGM for the first period. That maybe in the first period they pounce early and quickly get on the board, maybe get 2 goals in the opening period as well, this Dallas Stars team. So like I said, that team total in the first period, let's see what the full game team total is. It's 3.5. Actually, you know what? I would probably sprinkle 2 on the full game team total over 3.5. Could always add to it if during the bet cast. Thatcher Demko and Casey DeSmith have been confirmed as the starting goaltenders. And again, Casey DeSmith's had a very good year for Dallas, so we're not concerned about him. I'm not concerned about the goalies for Dallas. The goalies have been great. DeSmith's been great. Ottinger's been really good lately as well. It's getting outshot, outchanced, losing the territorial edge in almost every game recently. That's what's been happening to the Dallas Stars. But I am very interested in a first period team total for Dallas and a full game team total. That's probably what I'd be looking at right now if I was to get involved. I know it's dicey with Dallas. They haven't looked their best, but I think Vancouver is in an ultimate fade spot here tonight. Alex, what do you think here? Canucks Stars.
Yeah, I laid the first period over. I laid $1.10 with that, over 1.5. And then, like I said, I'm just looking for everything else in game. That 3.5, seeing plus 105s, plus 110s with Dallas. Like you said, if Vancouver's just completely out of it, and this is DeSmith going up against his old team, just with Vancouver last year. Who's to say this couldn't be a 3-0 Stars win? This could easily be a game where Dallas gets their 2-3 goals early in the period and sit on it. So I don't want to be holding that 3.5 necessarily.
Maybe that Canucks team total under. We've got to start looking at team totals under of the opponent when we like a certain team. Because look at its cash in Calgary last night. I mentioned now it might be the way to go with the Islanders. Maybe that's not a bad way to go here. And they got the DeSmith angle. His numbers are not only good, but he's up against a team that he used to be with. The Vancouver Canucks team totals under 2.5, minus 130. Not a great price,
30,
minus
135. Not the best price in the world. Yeah, but that's not a
got the bet cast. You can wait, right, for the bet cast
and
see it.
Yeah. So maybe a live combination of Dallas team total over with Vancouver team total under in some facet in game. But I do like goals here early in the first period. I can see where, like I said, Stars can press it early, then maybe they take their foot off the gas. So first period over. 1.5 minus 110, and then we move forward.
Yeah, if I like the Dallas team totals in the first period, which I do, to maybe get on the board quickly, I'd probably dabble in the first period over over 1.5.
And you can wait. You can wait for it because you have that team total, and and for anybody watching, you like that Dallas team total. Bet that pregame, and then you can wait and load up for the first period over at a plus price.
Yeah, no doubt. So, like I said, interesting to see how it plays out, but. Again, for some reason, a lot of these games, Dallas has started slow, and that's the concern with the bit. But I think there should be some onus here after the way the weekend fell apart for them, the Pittsburgh game and the Minnesota game. Let's have a good opening 20, guys. Let's go.
Right.
So I do like them, that over 1 in the first period team total with Dallas, which you can find at BetMGM. Dabble in the first period over, and I'll probably dabble in Vancouver team total under 2.5 as well, because I really do think, they'll win by shutting it down, Dallas here in this game if they get the job done. And certainly Vancouver is a team that can be shut down right now, especially on the road. And a goaltender in Casey DeSmith, who's not only played well this year, but gets a chance to try to beat his old team, which always gets a goalie, in my opinion, fired up to play at his best. All right, we've got Seattle and Utah. Utah Hockey Club minus 230, home favorites in this game. 6.5 the total. Across the board in this one. I mean, this is one of the strongest back-to-back trends maybe I've ever seen in my 15 years handicapping NHL hockey full time. I mean, I don't know if I've seen a team in one single season this bad, this horrific, this horrendous, this inept as far as back-to-back games are concerned. Seattle 0-11 on a back-to-back this year. And in a lot of these games, they've given up 4 goals or more or 3 goals or more. In a lot of these games, they've been blown out and lost by 2 goals or more. So it has been dreadful, beyond dreadful, how bad the run has been for this Seattle Kraken team on the second night of back-to-back games. And, of course, that's the situation here with them beating LA. The big upset. Now, the only concern with this, fading them on the back-to-back, is they're actually playing some good hockey right now. Seattle, they beat the living hell out of Vancouver. They crush. They crushed. Who the fuck did they crush? They crushed Vancouver. They San Jose. That's it. 5-1. San Jose. They beat after that, and then of course the 2-1 win in LA last night. But think about the circumstances. Very late game last night. Utah tonight. The altitude, the thin air, that's going to hit you like a ton of bricks when you played the night before. And LA to Utah, that's a decent sized travel there for a back-to-back. And Grubauer in net, because DeCord started last night for the Seattle Kraken. And we're not big Philip Grubauer fans. He's actually been a little bit better lately, but still not great for the whole season overall. Has been Philip Grubauer, 3.52 goals against, 875 save percentage. That being said, he has been a little bit better here in March. And his numbers, 2.03 goals against, 925 save percentage. His last 4 starts have actually been better. But you do worry about, just the fatigue factor, playing in the altitude after playing last night. So I'm debating how to go about it. I'm actually going to do a very rare puck line on Utah. I mean, the numbers are undeniable that when Seattle loses on these back-to-backs, they lose by 2 goals or more. So I'm going to dabble in the Utah puck line here, -1.5 in this game. Maybe a little bit on that team total over 3.5 as well. A little bit of both pregame. See how the game starts. Maybe Seattle has their legs early and leads early, and then we'll take Utah live, which is a very good betcast approach tonight because we do expect Seattle to peter out as this game goes on. Alex, what do you think here, Seattle, Utah?
Yeah, that's kind of the way I was approaching this too. First period over. Looking at Utah, if they give up the first goal live, this is a great live betting game. I just have all those angles circled over back there as well. Because this could be one where they roll out the puck. Grubauer's played better, but he's still a bit shaky. We've got Pavelka in his 21st consecutive start. This game could be like 6-5. That would shock me.
Yeah, 2 of his last 3 starts, Pavelka, with all this workload, and you think he's got to be fatigued as fuck, and he's played phenomenal in 2 of his last 3 starts. He's
played well, but it's like, how long can this continue?
Yeah.
How long can this continue? So this is a great backcast game. We can wait and see what the approach is like first few minutes. But like I said, I wouldn't be shocked to see overs here. This could be.
This is definitely. I'm keeping the Utah bets small pregame. We can add on later in the game for sure, as far as that's concerned. So that's definitely going to be the approach right here. Is that we're gonna take them small early, Utah pregame, and then we'll add to it later. And even better if Seattle takes the lead, because then I think it'll become a really good bet, because Utah could definitely pour it on as the game goes on and kind of wear down at Seattle, which I think will fade as the game goes on. I'm just seeing Jonathan Davis posted something in our chat. Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek update. They're not sure if one, both, or neither return tomorrow. We'll know more tomorrow morning. So it's just basically we're going to know more tomorrow about Kaprizov and Eriksson, who are closing in on a return. Yeah.
A lot of interesting notes in that game tomorrow with Minnesota and San Jose.
Yeah, no doubt. And that'll be for tomorrow. All right, we got one more game here on this Tuesday card. This is pretty good pace we're keeping. I loved it. I wanted to keep it to as close to an hour as possible with all the shit I got to get done before the betcast, and we have. So we'll wrap it up with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. This is, by the way, I should point out, Toronto, Florida is ESPN. It's a doubleheader tonight on ESPN. Toronto, Florida, with Bobby Wischusen is calling that game. The great Bob Wischusen. He's terrific with hockey, as we know. And Vegas, Colorado is Mike Monaco and Ray Ferraro. There's actually a video Mike Monaco posted of him and Ray at the Vancouver airport, flying out of there, because he called the game in Vancouver, Mike Monaco, and Ray Ferraro lives out in Vancouver. So they both decided we're going to fly to Colorado together. And apparently Ray Ferraro was bitching about the airport and how long things were taking. I'm with you, Ray. We're all with you. We all feel for you, man. It's ridiculous, man. Some of these airports, just the process you have to go through. But here we go. Vegas, Colorado. Colorado minus 135, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I think it's a Colorado spot. I just do. I know Vegas over the weekend, they gutted out a win against Calgary, feeling good again after the duds last week. Remember, dud against Edmonton, dud against Winnipeg. Bruce Cassidy wasn't happy. And then they go on the road. They beat Calgary in overtime with the fluke goal that Riley Smith scored. And then, of course, they get the Vancouver win on the back-to-back Sunday night over the Canucks 3-2. Now they go to Colorado. Third road game in 4 nights. Let's keep that in mind. Calgary Saturday, Vancouver Sunday, Colorado tonight. And the Avs are off. What happened to them? They didn't have a great weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, St. Louis beat them. And then there was another game, too. So I don't think they're thrilled about where they're at going into this game, the Colorado Avalanche. The St. Louis game, it was 5-4. They lost to the Blues. They did win before that on the road trip against Columbus and Chicago, but they did lose that last game of that road trip to the Blues. Now you're back home off that loss. I do think it's a Colorado spot for sure. I'm going to take them small, -135 pregame. And because we got the betcast tonight, we can always add on during the betcast tonight. If Vegas gets the lead early, that's definitely going to be my approach here, because I think Vegas in the altitude, with this being 3-4 on the road for this Golden Knights team, this could be a team that's starting to leak as the game goes on here in Ball Arena in Denver. So it's going to be a tiny Avs move pregame, and we can always add in-game if Vegas is leading at any point. So that's definitely kind of, I think it's a good approach. I think it sets up well here for Colorado. And by the way, the pressure's off Vegas a little bit more as far as the Pacific Division is concerned, Alex, after that LA loss last night to Seattle. Sure. So there's not that, wow, LA's right on our backside again for the division. That's not the case now after the Kings dropped that game to the Kraken last night. So I think a little bit of the pressure and the urgency might come off Vegas a little bit here for this game tonight. Alex, what do you think? Vegas, Colorado.
Yeah, I was actually kind of looking at a spot where I might take Vegas to score first goal in the first period, +145. And that would just lead me to set up to try to grab Colorado money line. I did that the other day with Nashville taking on Montreal. So that's the same approach. I'll go first goal in the first period for Vegas, and then we look to flip over and grab Avs live on the money line on the betcast.
No doubt. Yeah, it's Colorado. What's the team total? It's actually, I'm going to dabble in that pregame. 3.5 at a really nice plus price. It's a very solid plus price, +120, +125 at some spots with this team total. So again, how many times when the Avs win at home do they score 4 goals? A lot.
Yeah,
so,
a little pregame sprinkle on that too.
Yeah, I just think it's tough for Vegas, and I think again they're not as much urgency now after the Kings lost last night, because I think they're in a good spot right now, no question. So, and yes, Akira Schmid in net. I didn't even. You're right. Yeah, Akira Schmid in net. Look, I know he didn't play that bad against Calgary, but I thought Calgary could have tested him a little bit more. They looked a little bit, kind of like they did last night at times against San Jose. It looked a little tight, Calgary, at times. Like they didn't throw enough pucks on net last night against San Jose. I mean, people are saying, look at this Romanov. He's playing great. Well, when you don't shoot the fucking puck, he's going to look great.
Right.
So come on now. And kind of the same thing happened with Schmidt in that game against Calgary. They just didn't throw enough pucks, the Flames, toward him. Like, test this guy. Let's see how good he is. Yeah.
A return to the sternums in those games at times for Calgary.
Yeah. So. Yeah, no doubt. So there you go. And Jonathan's got the stat, and I knew he would because he's posted it before. 37 of the 47 Colorado wins, 4+ goals. So there you go. Yeah, most of them they score.
So you gotta roll with that. Even if you're betting Avs and you're laying 135, you have to have some team total on the side of that too.
Yeah, no doubt. Now they are banged up too. Let's we don't know who's returning. We know Natchez is out or has been out. We know Gerard's been banged up and out. We know Drouin has also been missing, and I don't think any of those guys are going to be back tonight. But I still like Colorado in this game, even without. Yeah, they're both out again, Drouin and Natchez, but I still like Colorado in spite of that here tonight in this one. There you have it. I mean, that is rapid fire Tuesday every game on the board breakdown. Like you've never seen before. Under an hour for all those games. I mean, but we had to. Unfortunately, we're tight for time today. That way I can be ready and on time for the Patreon exclusive Ice Guys Live Betcast, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I know you're sick of hearing me talk about it, but we got to promote it. We want people on board. We want you part of what this great movement we've got going on. That's what this is. Yes. This is a movement, these Betcasts. They're fun. They're engaging. The people are great people on these Betcasts. There's very little discourse. There's very little lack of harmony. People get along. It's just great company, watching the games, live betting, commenting as the games take place. Tonight, on Patreon, Thursday night on Patreon, both of them Patreon exclusive live betcasts. So make sure you get on board. Just $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And of course, access to all the bonus content, including access to our Patreon exclusive live betcast tonight, Thursday night, and all the rest of them for the rest of the season and Stanley Cup playoffs. So patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. And yes, that price is way too low, -$250. That should be -$5,000. John Massey snarls tonight on the betcast. There's no question about that. Or John Massey just stone face facial expressions. Be, that never changes. But patreon.com/Ice Guys, and find out how that never changes by joining us tonight. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month.
Yeah. Also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We told you all April we've got specials and savings all month long. Today and tomorrow you can get 10% off of 3 or more items in the store. So just go to iceguys.myspreadshop.com, click on the redeem button at the homepage, add 3 or more items to your cart, and 10% will be taken out at checkout. That's today and tomorrow only. Don't miss out on that. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, check out that Ice Guys store and get on that deal before it expires. We got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Hey, Ian, I got to tell you about this app I've been using lately called Kalshi. Kalshi.com. Did you know it's the only place where you can trade on March Madness in all 50 U.S. states?
I have heard about this, actually. Kalshi is the first and only legal prediction market that lets you trade on real-world events with the look and feel of stock trading, whether it's who will win elections, who will win the Grammy or Oscar awards, or what the price of Bitcoin will hit this year. You can bet you trade on just about anything on Kalshi.
With over 1 million users across all 50 states and over $1 billion worth of trades, Kalshi is an absolute game changer. And with March Madness coming to a close, baseball about to get in the full swing, playoffs on the horizon in hockey and basketball, now's the time to sign up to trade with Kalshi today.
Sign up at kalshi.com/iceguys, and the first 500 traders to join and trade 100 contracts, you will get a free $10 credit added to your account. So don't miss out on all the action. Join Kalshi today at kalshi.com/iceguys. That's kalshi.com/iceguys. Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc., 20% off using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. And, of course, Kalshi.com, great trading platform. Make sure you check that out, Kalshi.com/IceGuys. Great compliments from our guy, John Prude. I take that as a badge of honor. Notice how Ian never looks disheveled or hungover. These guys are serious. Love the show. That's the goal. Not much sleep, tons of booze, and you can't fucking tell. That's the goal right here, John. So I appreciate that. That means I'm doing something right. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Tuesday. It'll be tons of booze tonight, trust me. Alex, we'll start with you on the bargain bin special as always. What do you got? You're muted.
We're going to go to that Vancouver and Dallas game, actually, for the bargain bin. I know everybody's expecting the Hawks bargain bin play today. But no, actually, circling a spot here where I like Jamie Benn to get a goal. You can grab plus 390 anytime goal scorer for Jamie Benn at FanDuel. I would not be shocked if he gets on the board here for the Stars. So go with that as our bargain bin special night. Jamie Benn of the Dallas Stars. Anytime goal scorer plus 390.
All right, there you go. Jamie Benn, Dallas Stars, for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. I'm going to go with two bargain bin specials, and they're both bargain bin prices that are on multi-game goal scoring streaks. And yes, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm actually taking Elias Lindholm for the Boston Bruins. If you can believe it, this guy has scored in 3 straight games for this team after not doing it. Now that the games don't mean anything and the team is out, this guy is bringing his offense to the table here for the Boston Bruins. But he scored in 3 straight games. He's plus 390 at Betano tonight. So Elias Lindholm, Boston Bruins, plus 390 for my first bargain bin special. My other bargain bin special, we're going to go to Buffalo. Jason Zucker, the old veteran, streaky guy, but back-to-back games with a goal for him. It's been very noticeable, and you can find him at plus 425 to find the back of the net tonight. So 2 bargain bin specials, Elias Lindholm, Boston, plus 390, and Jason Zucker, Buffalo, plus 425 for my bargain bin special of the night. And I know Bailey's a Leafs fan, but Nick Robertson, I think, is not a bad choice for a bigger, longer shot goal prop tonight either. As soon as that guy gets scratched and he comes back into the lineup, he's good. We saw it the other night. He scores. He did it against Columbus the other night, and he's probably going to be back in the lineup again. That's just what he does, so makes a lot of sense. All right, best bets for this Tuesday. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
We're going to go to that Habs-Red Wings game. We're looking at that first period over 1.5. Both teams need to get out to hot starts, certainly Detroit. I mean, their backs are against the wall. They cannot afford to just sit around at any point in this contest. Montreal 11-2 to the first period over their last 13 games. So give me the Habs. Wings, first period over 1.5, minus 118, best price available at BetMGM. That's my Tuesday at best bet.
All right, there you go. That's that Detroit. What a game that is. Detroit and Montreal, first period over 1.5 for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. My best bet, I'm going to go right back to the very first game we talked about. I like that Buffalo Sabres team total. We got a team total best bet winner last night with Anaheim. See if we can do it via the team totals route once again here tonight. Buffalo team total over 2.5, minus 102. It is a great price. Kochekhov's been giving up 3 goals minimum in all of his recent games. Buffalo's been scoring goals left and right, and I think they get to 3 on home ice once again tonight. So Buffalo team total over 2.5, minus 102 for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. The betcast tonight, we cannot wait. 7 p.m. Eastern time. And again, another one on Thursday as well, exclusive to Patreon members. So make sure to join us for both of these betcasts. You get on board at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And we hope to see you there tonight for our Patreon exclusive Ice Guys live betcast. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night, and we will see you in about 3.5 hours from now, 7 p.m. Eastern time, for the Patreon exclusive live betcast, and again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.